Okay, call me a bee. The way your wife is not my honey. Hey, everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the Gamer Sketch. Today and only today, we are here. That's right, to actually rank these supersonic fights across the series. I'm really excited to do this one because there's surprisingly a lot. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to be specifically ranking fights with supersonic. I'm not going to be ranking, you know, when you can unlock supersonic in colors and you can just use them in a level. I'm going to rank specifically the battles that go on with them. I'm going to try to judge them just like by a few things, like how hype it is, how cool the mechanics and gameplays introduced on them and all that, and then how different they are. And if you want more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to support the content. Yeah! Now, this is the metric I'm going to rank this. I'm going to have them in absolute peak. It's fire, ite, or ass. So technically, the first supersonic fight that happens in the series is actually hypersonic in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. And I gotta say, this fight for a debut is so cinematic, right? Not only are you not just supersonic, you're hypersonic, right? But you guys are flying up to the moon. There's a segment where you're just flying through, you know, trying to get through some meteors. Then there's like a segment where, you know, you gotta get these missiles back at Dr. Eggman and hit him back with it. And then, right, you are getting a final segment where you're just hitting him as he carries the Master Emerald. And it's really good. You know, you got some menacing music playing in the background. You got just a nice atmosphere. And again, you got to talk about this in the lens of a game from the 1990s. This just felt over the top and really cool and really gave you the aura that you were powerful and invincible. And so with that, I'm going to put Sonic 3 and Knuckles in fire. I think it is genuinely such a sick fight and it's such a good start for the series. Now, surprisingly, the next one we jump to right away is Sonic Adventure, right? Sonic Adventure supersonic fight. In terms of introduction, nothing too crazy. You know, they get to this lead up where Sonic, you know, wants to change Chaos, and then he gets the Chaos Emeralds, and the fight itself is so fucking awesome. I would argue this is almost peak, you know, in a sense of, one, you get your first vocal theme for a supersonic battle with Open Your Heart, and it's fucking awesome. The game doesn't do anything too complicated where they introduce a lot of mechanics. In fact, it is just you flying over water and using boost pads to gain as much speed as possible to get all the way to the top of Perfect Chaos. Now, I would say one notable flaw of this fight is it's just kind of repetitive. Like, you do that same motion of going to hit Perfect Chaos like 5-6 times even on his second phase, right? But I will say, like I said, I feel like for me it fits in the category of fire just because it's that vocal theme that hits for the first time. The look of it is sick, but I do wish that they had introduced a little bit more because you're still kind of grounded in the fight. You're not really flying as supersonic. Now, surprisingly, the next one we have is Sonic Pocket Adventure, which this one is just Sonic 3 and Knuckles fight, but condensed to a mobile game. So it's like a little bit of just a bit crunched version of it. It's shorter. It's not as hype. And for that, I'm going to put Sonic Pocket Adventure Supersonic Fight in ite. And next up, we have Sonic Adventure 2 Supersonic Battle, which I am right away just going to put an absolute peak. I don't even need to tell you. One, intro to it is fire, where you're getting supersonic and super shadow, right, working together, you know, getting into the form. In the beginning is cinematic. You are getting live and learn playing, and not just that, right, you get this crazy cinematic fight where you're in space, they're fighting, you know, the ugly slime failure of Shadow that I'm blanking on right now, but it's like you get that, and then you're taking turns between Sonic and Shadow, bumping into him, trying to kill him. It's nothing too complicated, it's nothing too over the top, but it is so fucking cool. And you're destroying the bio lizard, you're fucking him up again. They're having dialogue back and forth in the fight. Like, it's the first time you really feel cinematic value in the fight, right? Up into the lead up to the end where you win it, and then they handshake each other, up until even after the fight where you and Shadow are fighting together, right? And then Shadow makes the sacrifice and gets sent down to the earth, and it is fucking perfect. I adore this one. Absolutely peak. Now, the next one we have on the list is Sonic Advance, which Sonic Advance Supersonic Fight is kind of just another version of Sonic 3 and Knuckles fight, which at this point I'm like, okay, is there nothing else we can do in a 2D game? I understand there's limitations, but just us being supersonic and bumping into, you know, the final boss over and over again isn't really my favorite thing. The music is really good, and like I said, I do appreciate that. I guess Sonic Sprite looks fantastic as supersonic in Advance, but again, it's another version of this, which I guess is why for me I'm gonna put Sonic Advances in ite. Hey man, if you like Sonic Advance 1s, you're gonna love Sonic Advance too, because it's the same thing. Besides a bit of a cool intro you get where you actually get to see Sonic transforming into Super Sonic, which I think is fucking awesome. I think, again, another fight where I'm in space, I see Earth on the bottom, and I'm just trying to hit Eggman with his own missiles. Again, it's the same thing once again. I will give this fight, I guess, some props for having a second segment where Eggman's machine is just spinning around you and stuff, but again, just a fight with no multiple phases or anything. It doesn't even have really a cool outro, so it's another one. And I don't know, this one to me is not as, it's aight. Oh, next up we have Sonic Heroes in Fire for me, because Sonic Heroes to me is so fucking good. In fact, it's my favorite part of that game, right? Because you're fighting Metal Overlord God Jesus version of, you know, Metal Sonic in space. You got the gang together, and while you're not all in super forms, you are all super powered Sonic. It looks cool, the intro to it is cool, and you have this awesome song playing, another vocal theme by Crush 40, Sonic Immaculate, and I love the team swaps you're supposed to do. You know, like you're using Sonic to go through these barriers, you're using Knuckles to break things that are being tossed at you, you're using Tails to toss, you know, your teammates at, you know, the boss, and you're just doing a lot of damage. It's like, it feels like a team effort, and you're building up to doing the team attack, which looks awesome. And while again it can be a little repetitive and long, I still think it's a really cool boss fight, which is why I would put it in Fire. All right, so next up is Sonic Advance 3 Strike, and again, while having a raw intro to Super Sonic, it is another 2D fight in space. However, I will give this one extra props, because in this one it is not just you bumping into the boss fight, which is General, that's super powered, which is really cool, but you are actually working with Eggman. So this is kind of the first time you get a Super Sonic team up with Eggman. Technically, they've worked together before, but this is the first time you're actually using him. So I give them props for this one. Honestly, I would say this one again still falls in aight for me, just because it's just that same formula again. Hey, you get enough of these 2D bosses as well. Another one is Sonic Rush. Now, again, while I will give this one very much props, right, that the intro to it is really cool. How you see Super Sonic transforming, and you see Blaze the Cat transforming. This is another 2D battle where you are just bumping things back into the final boss, but I will just give this one a much better rating, because one, you get to play as two characters, which I think is inherently just cooler, and also you have cinematic value in that, you know, you do this final cool attack where you're mixing together, drilling into the boss. You get a good buy at the end between Super Sonic and Super Blaze, and so a team up super battle that we've been waiting for since Live and Learn, you know, Sonic Adventure 2 is Fire. So I'm gonna put this one in Fire right next to Sonic Heroes. Would I put it above it? Probably not. The next Super Sonic battle goes to Sonic 06, and man, this one to me could have been so peak, because obviously, you know, you are Super Silver, Super Sonic, Super Shadow, and you know, denying and retconning in our minds how you become Super Sonic in there, and what happens before that. You get into a fight that is very cool in concept. In concept, you know, you're using all three of the gang, you know, you're using Silver's telekinesis to push things back to the boss, you're getting Shadow shooting spears at him, you're getting Sonic just boosting into him, and I think it's really cool, but the boss just feels like a whole lot of nothing, you know, in a sense of like, it doesn't work too well, it feels repetitive, you're losing rings way too fast. It's like, I do like the banter that goes back and forth, but the fight to me is just so annoying and frustrating that to me, I would put it in I wouldn't, I mean, would I put it in as, I don't know. I think I would have put it in as. You know what, never mind. I'll put it in I just because the three boys teaming up is cool. Now, Sonic Rush Adventures boss fight is next, and honestly, this one falls into another category of the 2D fight, but I do give it props for this time being a top-down view in which you're swapping between Sonic and Blaze to do various attacks to the boss fight. You're dodging these moves that are being coming at you from the second screen, so I feel like it uses the two screens really well. There's some dope music playing, and I also love that they do the Dragon Ball moment where someone pulls in with assist with Marine hitting the boss, and again, you get a really cool cinematic flair at the end with them going through the boss, and it's fucking cool. And I think at the end of the day, as long as the Super Sonic fight feels cool to me, I enjoy it. So I'm gonna give the Sonic Rush Adventure one a fire above Sonic Rush. Next, we actually have Sonic in the Secret Rings, which to me, this is Dark Spine Sonic, and this is probably the best part of this game. You are getting a form that looks fucking unique and crazy. It's like this dark version of Sonic, and I love the idea here that, you know, you have to shake the remote to power up the bar, and you're going to to toss this big energy beam back at Dr. Eggman, or not Dr. Razor Jin at this point. And what I love about this fight is just how fucking brutal Sonic is. Like the way he's kicking back that attack, the way you're going and punching Razor Jin, it is so brutal. And it ends with Sonic saying the rawest line ever. He's just like, next time, try writing a better story. So his voice is cool. The energy is just fucking dope. The music is dope. I don't know. For me, it sounds fucking crazy, but for me, the Secret Rings boss fight is peak. It's so fucking good. Next one is the Sonic Unleashed battle. Now, this is a bit of a weird one, right? Because the ending itself is one big event, right? Where, you know, you're running through platforms, you know, you're doing stuff with Chip, but the Super Sonic fight itself is pretty lame in a lot of ways, right? I think it's very much carried by the finale QTE, because in the middle of that fight, you just sort of fly over to Dark Gaia, and then you are just literally, and I'm not even exaggerating, you are just bumping into, you know, his body parts on the rest of the shield that's going around him. That's quite literally all you do in that entire fight. I will say though, cinematic value is fire. The music, the remix of Endless Possibilities, or, you know, the orchestrated version of it is incredible, but I don't know. For me, it feels a little bit lackluster in terms of hype, but the final QTE does do a lot in terms of hype there. So I will put it in top of fire. But honestly, the Sonic Unleashed Wii version, I would say is actually a little better than the Sonic Unleashed on PlayStation version, because for this one, it's sort of more QTE based, where you're sort of dodging things. It plays a bit like the Secret Rings one, where it's mainly you dodging and then you're going in for the attack on Dark Gaia's eye. So there's a bit of a cinematic value to it, and it's kind of just cool, and I feel like it's more hands-on. It has more QTEs. I think it's fucking dope. Oh, and next up, we have Excalibur Sonic with Sonic in the Black Knight. Oh my god, for me, I'm not gonna lie to you, is it better than Sonic Adventure 2's? No, but it is right behind it. I still think this one is so fucking raw. The music playing, how you are a gold knight, you know, the intro, obviously, to how you transform to it is incredible. I just love everything about this fight. You're dodging lasers coming at you, you're doing sword weaves back and forth, you just feel powerful. It's so fucking high. I don't need to even explain it to you, bro. You already know. It's one of the coolest moments in the season. While I wish it had like an outro to it, right? I still think it is a very fun fucking sick battle. Now, Sonic Colors does not have a Super Sonic fight on the console version. However, it does have one on the DS version, and this one is kind of cool. You're dodging some rocks, you're doing some things up until you lead up to a move where you are zooming in into the reticle and right attack again. So while it's nothing too crazy, it does have a nice transformation segment. And it's cool. It's nothing crazy after all these. I would give it, you know, probably bottom of fire. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have our first ass of the list, and that is going to be Sonic Generations. I don't care whether you're the console version or the handheld version. The Time Eater is a lame final boss. This fight just sucks, man. You are just boosting and boosting and boosting and boosting. Now, I will say maybe I would put the 3DS version in like eight, just because it's a factor better how much, you know, of your brain you got to use. But God, for the console version, it's so bad. You literally just hold boost. You know, the team is spamming just the same thing over and over. You know, there's just attacks coming at you. It's undecipherable. It's boring. It's just, for me, it's offensive to have done a game like Sonic Generations, and the final battle does not feel generational. And then Sonic Team decided to stop doing Super Sonic fights until we got Sonic Mania. That's right, Sonic Mania. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you, this one to me is also aight, and I'll explain to you why. Because I like Super Sonic here, but this fight to me always felt kind of weird. Like, it felt like I was always just floating around and just tapping the boss. Like, it never felt interactive. It never felt like I was doing anything crazy. I would have loved if you were actually moving through the space or something. But I don't know, for a game that was so incredible all throughout, I feel like the Super Sonic moment, besides the cool music and Eggman fighting alongside you, I just feel it was kind of disappointing. And honestly, I'll never forget how fucking confused I was in this fight, because like, you'll get close to the boss and they spam you with this arm attack that's annoying. It's just kind of, I don't know, it always bothered me. And Sonic Frontiers all the way at the tippity top of peak. And honestly, I know people are gonna say, well, there's multiple Sonic fights in there. Let me tell you how it goes for me in my head, right? I think for me, at the bottom, it goes OG, you know, version of Supreme / the end. Then it would be, oh, who would it be right after? I'm gonna say, fuck it, yeah, I think it would be Giganto. It would be Wyvern, and then it would be, you know, the Knight. And then I think on top, it would be the new version of the end, which like is insane. This game, you guys already know, is peak of peak when it comes to supersonic fights. It took supersonic fights seriously. It has cinematic value. You have a moveset as supersonic. You're doing crazy QTEs. It is fucking peak hype, bro. You all know it. I love Sonic Frontiers supersonic battles so much, and they are everything to me. And honestly, I know they carry the game, but they're so fucking awesome. They are literally like, they brought back hype to Sonic. They each have their own vocal theme to them. They each have their own cinematic modes. It's like, it's by far the coolest and best thing Sonic has ever done. And then we got Sonic Superstars, and god, this fight fucking sucks. I am putting this in ass. This fight, 1, has no cohesion to it. You're just thrown into a random fight with a random dragon. 2, it's annoying. Like, the moves are lame. Sometimes you just don't know when you're gonna get, you know, an attack open for you. The final part is frustrating. It is just such a lame finale. There's no cinematic value. I guess maybe the ending move is cool where Sonic, you know, zooms into him, but even then it cuts out. But just, I don't know, man. I felt like this was so disappointing, man. In a game where like a bunch of the boss fights are the problem, I would have loved if the supersonic fight was at least something. And yeah, those are my supersonic fights ranked. So let me know, guys, what you think. What are your favorite supersonic battles in these series? I love you. Thank y'all for watching. And of course, I'll see you all next time. Peace out.